All right, hey, shalom, shalom. Before I get started, as always, I want to give all praise to our power, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha HaKodash. Double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Salutations and blessings to the hopeful elect scattered throughout the four winds of the earth that believe wholeheartedly in the true doctrine that is being pushed throughout the four winds of the earth for our hope of mercy and salvation during the time of Jacob's trouble, as well as when Yahweh Shai returns to the planet Earth. To you and to you only, I say shalom, and may Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai continue to rain down grace and mercy upon you and your household. All right, as you can see in the title, the central banks are panicking. And this video here will be a commentary of a Greek economist by the name of Yanis Varoufakis. His name is hard to pronounce. Varoufakis or Varoufakis. He's going to say it, which you can't see him on the screen. I had came across his little commentary, or not commentary, but this video on TikTok. It was a six part of him speaking about the coming. Excuse me, let me fix this microphone. About the coming collapse of the U.S. dollar. All right, or the petrodollar, or the world reserve currency. All right, and he was basing it upon a meeting that he had took part in, and the things that he heard in this meeting, he wasn't supposed to say, according to him, but he said he had to say it so that people can be aware and prepare themselves for what is coming. All right, and as the title says, the central banks are panicking. All right, the central banks are panicking for what's getting ready to take place. All right, now without any further ado, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this, and we're going to listen to the whole 15 minutes. All right, now I may stop it and interject it. Stop and interject at certain key points he says, because he says a few things, all right, that are relevant to biblical prophecy, of course. All right, and these days are upon us, man. All right, they're upon us, and for you goofballs that are sold out right here at the end, you ain't even got time to enjoy the little peanuts Esau gave you, because this thing is about to go up, man. All right, the timeline he quotes in this 6-part 15-minute him talking, he said they were speaking of a timeline in the meeting, and they said 12 to 18 months or sooner. And then he said by the end of 2025 or early 2026. Okay? So today is January 3rd, 2026, the year of apostates, sellouts, and agents. Okay? So we just started 2026. Now, I don't know if other brothers have seen this interview or this Greek economist. This was my first time coming across him. And what he was saying was pretty intriguing. And most importantly, is relevant to biblical prophecy. All right? So without any further ado, let's go ahead and start this. And Lord will, there's edification and exhortation that comes from it. So let's go.
I wasn't supposed to be in that room. Let me be clear about that from the start. 3 days ago, I was invited to what was described as an informal economic consultation in Basel, Switzerland. When I arrived, I realized this wasn't informal at all. This was an emergency gathering of central bank officials from across the Western world, and the panic in that room was palpable. I'm Yanis Varoufakis. I've been documenting the collapse of dollar dominance for months now. But until I sat in that room and watched some of the world's most powerful financial officials struggle to maintain composure, I didn't fully grasp how close we are to the edge. They know everything I've been telling you. They know it's worse than I've said. And they have absolutely no idea how to stop it. What I'm about to share violates several confidentiality agreements. But after what I heard, I decided that people deserve to know what's coming. The officials in that room are preparing for something they won't publicly acknowledge. And if you're not prepared, you'll be blindsided. The meeting was at the Bank for International Settlements, the central bank for central banks. About 30 people, deputy governors and senior policy advisors from Fed, ECB, Bank of England, Bank of Japan, others. Official agenda: monetary policy normalization. Real agenda became clear fast. A senior Fed official stood up. We need to stop pretending this is manageable. Treasury demand is collapsing. Unprecedented repo market moves. After Saudi BRICS, 3 largest foreign holders want out. This isn't policy challenge. This is crisis management. The room went silent. Then everyone talked at once. First revelation: foreign central banks are dumping treasuries faster than anyone admits. Official data shows modest declines. But the Bank of Japan official: we're not selling directly. We use intermediaries, offshore vehicles, disguised currency swaps. If we sold openly at the pace we want, treasury markets crash hidden, but we're exiting. ECB official confirmed. European institutions diversifying into anything non-dollar. Gold, yuan bonds, even Bitcoin. Official reserve figures don't reflect real dollar decline because we're using financial engineering to mask it. The publicly reported data understates the exodus. Real outflow is hidden across offshore transactions. They are doing this because if the true scale became public, it would trigger the crisis they're avoiding. Second revelation: the repo market, financial system plumbing, is breaking down. A former Fed official: since Saudi BRICS, repo rates spike erratically. Banks demand higher rates to lend against treasuries. Unprecedented in peacetime. It means the market is pricing in treasury risk. Fed is intervening constantly to prevent meltdown, but can't do this forever. Third revelation: central banks are preparing capital controls they won't discuss publicly. Bank of England mentioned emergency protocols for capital controls, restrictions on moving money out. Just contingency planning. But Swiss National Bank: we've done the same, coordinating with ECB on potential dollar-euro swap limitations. Capital controls, currency conversion restrictions, measures used during acute crisis. Western central banks are pre-positioning them. Fourth revelation: genuine fear about pension fund collapse. Discussion about pension exposure to treasuries. One official: we're looking at potentially $3 to $5 trillion in pension losses if rates rise another 200 basis points. That's actuarial mathematics. And we have no policy tools to prevent it. Someone added: the public doesn't understand yet. When they see retirement accounts crater, political pressure will be enormous. They'll demand bailouts. But we can't print our way out without accelerating inflation and devaluation. We are trapped.
Now that's one aspect, as he was just talking about, the retirement, the pensions. You got so many Americans who are reliant on retiring and receiving that pension. All right, and I know this for a fact, being in the trucking industry. You got guys been driving for 20, 25, 30, 40 years plus, or 40 years, getting ready to retire and going to receive their pension, or thinking they're going to receive their pension. And when they can't receive that pension, when that retirement gets swallowed up, that's going to cause total unrest in Babylon the Great. And that's just one aspect that he's talking about. And that's just the trucking industry. You got all kind of industries who offer their employers pension. But if the pension is affected, like he's talking about, he's going to talk about it a little more, the uproar is going to be biblical, as it is written, man. All right? Second Ezra, the 15th chapter. All right? 15 and 16, which we're going to read a little bit of that, but let me play a little bit more of this. All right? Salakia.
Fifth revelation. They see BRICS expansion as irreversible and are managing decline rather than preventing it. I expected strategies for maintaining dollar dominance. Instead, the conversation assumed it was ending. A Fed advisor. We need to accept we're transitioning to multipolar currency system. Question isn't whether the dollar remains dominant. It won't. Question is whether we can manage transition without complete collapse. Right now, I'm not confident. ECB. Europe is worse positioned. Losing industrial base, energy dependent, no military capacity. When dollar system restructures, will be collateral damage. The resignation was stunning. People tasked with defending Western financial stability openly discussing managed decline. During a break, a Nordic central bank official approached me. Young, brilliant. He said quietly, "Professor, you've been right about all this, but here's what you don't know. We've run the scenarios. No pathway ends well. Best case, slow decline over a decade with moderate pain. Worst case, sudden crisis. Markets freeze, currencies collapse, social unrest. We're trying to engineer the first, but variables are moving faster than our policy responses." I asked, "What's the trigger? What causes sudden crisis?" He looked around. Honestly, could be anything. A major country announcing full de-dollarization, a treasury auction failing, a geopolitical crisis forcing asset freezes, or cumulative pressure reaching a tipping point. The system is so fragile, any shock could trigger it. We're basically praying nothing goes wrong while we prepare emergency measures. That's what terrified me. The people responsible for financial stability are hoping nothing goes wrong. That's not strategy, that's desperation. This confirms every warning. Russia's frozen assets made countries question dollar safety. Now, they are quietly exiting through hidden channels. Germany's collapse is removing Europe's economic anchor. European bankers are positioned for collateral damage. Petrodollar death was reducing automatic demand. Treasury markets now price in risk. China's infrastructure created alternatives. Central banks acknowledge multipolar transition is inevitable. Pensions are vulnerable to rate increases. Officials calculate $3 to $5 trillion in losses. Canada defied the US. Even close allies hedge against dollar decline. Saudi Arabia joined BRICS. This was the catalyst forcing emergency meetings. The central bank panic isn't about potential problems, it's about actual problems they are struggling to manage now. Here's what they're most worried about: specific scenarios keeping them awake. Scenario 1: Treasury auction fails. What if one auction doesn't find buyers at acceptable rates? Interest rates spike, markets panic, other holders rush to sell, cascade failure. Emergency protocols drafted for Fed to buy unlimited amounts, but that risks dollar confidence collapse. Scenario 2: BRICS currency launch. If BRICS announces gold-backed or commodity-backed currency for trade, it provides immediate alternative. Countries shift rapidly. Dollar demand crashes. No counter except hoping it doesn't happen. Scenario 3: Geopolitical crisis. Major conflict. Taiwan, Middle East, and US.
And what we're seeing now, we're seeing the U.S. is bombing Venezuela. And from what I was listening to a little earlier, that they've captured the president of Venezuela and his family and his wife. All right. So we're seeing exactly what he's talking about. Okay. And we know the reason the U.S. is going into Venezuela. It ain't got shit to do with drugs, but everything to do with the oil reserves that Venezuela is sitting on, which will keep the petrodollar afloat long enough to where they can, like he's saying, engineer the downfall, all right, to where they can control trade with the petrodollar if they have this reserve over in Venezuela. Okay, so we're seeing these things spiral out of control, and real soon it's gonna escalate to a real global conflict. And regardless, the economy will crash. All right, the dollar will crash once, and he's gonna. I think he either he said it. I don't think he said it yet, but he's gonna say once the dollar collapses, everything goes. And I remember Elder Ariala in Dallas said this years ago. One of the, I believe it was one of the algorithms he does with Raquam, from not from saying the brother's name right, out in UK. He said this years ago. The dollar just, if the dollar tanks, the whole world economy tanks, right? And this is why you see the U.S. moving on Venezuela so that they can gain some leverage in world trade, knowing that the petrodollar is that weak, because they need some type of leverage. All right, and if they can get that oil reserve over there in Venezuela, then they have the leverage they need. Even if they do get it, it's still gonna collapse because it's biblical prophecy, though. All right, and the whole world knows what the hell the U.S. is going up in there for. They know damn well they ain't going up in there because they bringing drugs on goddamn fishermen, 2, 3 passenger man boats. They know it ain't got nothing to do with that, but everything to do with the oil reserve that Venezuela is sitting on. Okay?
Poses sanctions with asset freezes. Every remaining dollar holder panics and exits. They've learned from Russia. Scenario 4: Pension panic. If enough retirees realize savings are evaporating, mass withdrawals. Pension funds forced to liquidate in falling market. More losses, more panic, death spiral. They are terrified because this causes social unrest. Here's what central bankers are actually doing. Emergency measures being prepared. Prepositioning dollar swap lines with maximum capacity for emergency dollar liquidity to foreign central banks. Capacity for emergency dollar liquidity to foreign central banks. drafting protocols for temporary capital controls activated with minimal notice, restrictions on transfers, waiting periods, limits on currency conversion, coordinating on potential bank holidays, days where markets close to prevent panic, preparing extraordinary monetary operations, unlimited money creation to buy government bonds and prevent rate spikes. But here's what they admitted. None of these solve the underlying problem. They're just buying time, and they don't know what happens when time runs out. The North
Let me bring in a scripture. All right. We in the time, man. This is the time. This is the book of Ecclesiastes in the Bible, the 9th chapter and the 12th verse. Okay. For man also knoweth not his time, as the fishes that are taken in an evil net, and as the birds that are caught in the snare. And in this case, dealing with the financial system, majority of the people on the planet Earth, besides these central bankers, because they know what's coming. This is what the meeting he attended was all about. Majority of the people on the planet have been caught in the net and the snare of this Federal Reserve note. All right? Especially the average American. Okay? And then you got the world, because the petrodollar is the world reserve currency where trade is made. All right? But then you have BRICS, right? And other countries who have joined BRICS because they see the downfall of the dollar. All right? So we're getting ready to see straight up turmoil. And they know it. They know that it will cause social unrest. And this is why they're preparing these different protocols for when it does happen. But once it starts, they won't have the control that they think that they'll have. Okay? That's one thing for certain. Okay? So reading that from the top again. It says, for man also knoweth not his time, as the fishes that are taken in an evil net, and as the birds that are caught in the snare. So are the sons of men snared in an evil time. All right? And we are in a very evil time. The word evil means bad time. Eve meaning time, ill meaning bad. All right? We are in a very evil time. Okay? It says, so are the sons of men snared in an evil time, when it falleth suddenly upon them. And that's exactly how it's going to come. It's going to come suddenly. And they know that, but they're having these meetings trying to prevent it from happening suddenly and putting in these different protocols and measures, but it still won't work. All right? The number one protocol and measure to have is to be in the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. That's the number one protocol to have when this money goes under, because it's going to go under, and it's going to go under hard and fast. Okay? People won't have access to their bank accounts. Banks will close their doors. You won't be able to get in the bank. All right? You won't even be able to spend money like that because of hyperinflation. Okay? Because the world is going to dump all their Federal Reserves as reserve currency. They're going to dump it, and then all that money has got to come back where? It's got to come back here, which is going to have it worth, it's going to be worth only to burn to keep warm or to wipe your ass with. It ain't going to be worth nothing. Okay? And this is what they are so afraid of. This is what they're panicking of. All right? They're panicking because they know it's inevitable. So let's listen some more.
public official, we're like doctors treating a terminal patient. We can manage symptoms, extend things, maybe make it less painful, but we can't cure the disease. The disease is a global economic order built on assumptions that are no longer true. And you can't fix that with interest rate policy. So, what's the timeline? Based on what I heard, we're in a 12 to 18-month window, maybe less. Central bankers are preparing for crisis by end of 2025 or early 2026.
Where we at? We are in the beginning of 2026. All right? We are in the beginning of 2026. We got the Passover in a couple of months. Right? Things are getting ready to turn up, man. All right? So this meeting that he had to be sometime early 2025. Had to be. Or maybe sometime in 2025 this happened. Okay, it don't say the date. You know, it's just him sitting down talking to the camera. Okay? This is where we at, man. And then you got all the information in the turmoil about silver. How silver is just constantly going up per ounce. I saw a video of back in 2005. I think it said in 2005, 72 ounces of silver was I believe it was maybe 200 some odd bucks. I can't remember, but now 20 years later, that same amount in US currency is about 7.2 ounces of silver. No, 8.5 ounces of silver. So it went from 72 ounces to 8.5 ounces 20 years later to equal the same amount Federal Reserve note. Will show you that the value of the Federal Reserve note is in a constant decline. You're gonna need more Federal Reserve notes, all right, to purchase anything real soon. Okay? To purchase anything. And silver is not only silver, but gold as well. That's the measuring stick. Okay? Let's get back.
Watching indicators, treasury yields above certain thresholds, repo rate volatility exceeding tolerances, gold prices sustaining above levels. These are tripwires. If BRICS announces a trade currency, or if another major economy exits dollars, or if there is major geopolitical crisis, the timeline compresses dramatically. Could be months or weeks. What should you do? Honest answer from officials. There's no safe haven. Gold, maybe, but no guarantee. Some exposure to non-dollar currencies, but which ones? Everything is interconnected. If dollar system breaks, everything breaks initially.
That's where there it is. If the dollar system breaks, everything breaks initially. All right? And this is a part of the elite, the wicked elite. All right? The elite bankers. This is why they had the whole world trading in dollars. All right? So that when it does break and they emerge with the new solution, which would be the RFID technology, right? The UBI, right? Universal basic income, okay? The whole world is going to have to get down with it, okay? Matter of fact, let me pull in another scripture, all right? And this is why the scriptures tell you the love of money is the root of all evil. All right, and if you have if you've made money your god, you don't even know that you pierced yourself through with many sorrows. Let me get that real quick. All right, and that's majority of Americans. Bear with me a second. Okay, because if this money go, which it will go, people are gonna be out here hurt through, especially these women. A woman will have zero independence. She will have all this sass and this rebelliousness that she has here in these times is simply because she can make her own money. All right, that is the only reason. Because in this society, money is power, and if you can make your own money, you know, put your own, pay your own bills, this and the third, then you have a sense of power, and that's why these women are as proud as they are. All right, but let this money go under. All right, you're gonna see women be just that, women. All right, this is why the scriptures speak about 7 women shall take hold of one man. All right, because when there's no money, how you gonna survive? It's gonna be about self-sustainability. All right, that's what it's gonna be about. And most men won't even be able to cope with what's going on. So this is the book of 1 Timothy chapter 6. 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 10, it says, "For the love of money is the root of all evil." All right? Money itself isn't evil, but the love of it. We all know how our people love money. Esau then got our people to rob, steal, and kill over money. And it's some money that ain't even real money. It's goddamn paper, a number in a computer. Real money is going to be commodities in that day. Gold, silver, salt, chapstick. You know? Watch the movie The Road and the movie The Book of Eli. All right? Wasn't no Federal Reserves being traded and used. It was about what you had. You know? Water, food. Okay? Scriptures speak about matter of fact, I'll read that as well, because we only got a few more minutes left in this video. But men invading one another because of the lack of bread. All right? If the money system go, what you think gonna happen to the grocery stores? People are gonna try to go into the grocery stores, just like going back to 2020, right? Where they went into the grocery stores and they ransacked it, and you would go down aisles, and aisles was straight up empty, busted pasta packages, water gone, bread gone, everything gone. You know what I'm saying? Everything was fucking. I remember that. I remember going into certain stores, and especially in Jake neighborhood. See, in Jake neighborhood, shit was ran through. But when you went to the Edomites neighborhood, when you went to Edom's neighborhood, they had water, they had, grits, oatmeal, and things of that nature, things that had long shelf life, right? Because I would go to these grocery stores when I was during my work day, and I stopped and I go inside because I'll be in Esau neighborhood. I go inside their Albertsons and their Bonds, and compared to Jake's neighborhood, man, they might as well have they were still being stopped, but Jake neighborhood wasn't nothing being stopped. Okay, so just imagine if your debit cards and credit cards aren't working, banks shut down, ATMs not giving out well, you can't use the ATM because your card not working to go into the ATM machine. Signs on stores, convenience stores, grocery stores, liquor stores, cash only. All right, and then eventually that cash only is going to be inflated, hyperinflated cash. Okay, this is where we're headed. Okay, this is where we're headed. So having your money in the bank in these times, that's a no-no. You should just enough to pay your bills. Okay, and keep it pushing. So again, 1 Timothy 6:10, for the love of money is a root of all evil, which while some covet it after, right? And America is a society that covets after money, or this society's money, as what they would call money. This America is that place that covets after it. Okay, everybody's in that rat race to get money. You know, and you got people on the verge of losing it, behind getting money, sitting in their car. How are we surviving? What are we doing? You know what I'm saying? Jake, what is going on in this earth, man? You know? So people are getting ready to lose it, and then all of a sudden they done been working like hell just to keep a roof over their head, and then bam, no money. That's going to cause uproar. That's going to cause the full storehouses suddenly becoming empty. Okay, as it tells you in Second Ezra. All right, because there's going to be loot, mass amounts of looting, unaliving in the process. So that social unrest that these central bankers are speaking about is inevitable. They can't engineer no goddamn 10-year breakdown, going and just flipping it to the RFID system. They know it's finna go down. And this is what my man Giannis is explaining. So it says, which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith, right? Like Genesis and all these other groups who have sold out to the so-called white man for goddamn grant money, all right, hush money. We ain't gonna teach the name money. We gonna switch up the doctrine money. You niggas coveted after money, right? And it caused you to err from the faith and pierce themselves through with many sorrows. And that's exactly what you've done. And it's going to be evident, all right, when this money collapses. And this is just one aspect of the Most High bringing down this society with the money, all right? We still got to deal with the pestilence, the famine, right? It's going to be all out hell out here, man. But one way for sure to shut shit down is to destroy this money system. And this is exactly what's getting ready to happen. And it's basically been engineered up until this point, right? Because it was inevitable for it to happen the way it's getting ready to happen. And there's no stopping it. So let's finish this out. And then I got a couple more scriptures in mind. Lord, will you still here with me? But here we go.
An official said darkly, "Best advice I can give people is to have useful skills, strong community ties, and some physical assets."
That's the advice that they're talking about for the inevitable, the social unrest, is to have skills. You know what I'm saying? Sustainable skills. And that's something a woman ain't got in a world where there's no law. Right? Because these women are protected by law, and they're protected because they can go out and earn their own money. But when there's lawlessness and no money, they go directly to the bottom with the children. All right? It's going to be real bad and sad out here. Right? Real bad.
Because if this goes really bad, financial instruments won't matter as much as real-world resilience. I left Basel 3 days ago, and I haven't slept properly since. Because I sat in a room with people who have access to real-time data on every financial market, every capital flow, every economic indicator. They can see things I can't, and they're panicking. The mainstream media isn't covering this. They're publishing articles about economic resilience and Fed policy normalization. They have no idea what's actually happening in those emergency meetings. But I know, I was there. I heard them acknowledge that the system is breaking and they don't know how to fix it. This is the final confirmation of everything I've been warning about. The authorities know they are preparing for crisis. And they are not.
And that's Isaiah the 19th chapter. The Lord, a perverse spirit in Egypt. All right? Let me get that. And this whole money thing is gonna cause a whole lot of shit to happen, man. The Lord have mingled a perverse spirit in Egypt, man. I'm gonna start at verse 2. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 19. And matter of fact, I start at 1. It says, the burden of Egypt, which we understand and know, Egypt is another term for America. All right? The burden of Egypt, behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight, everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor. And that can easily happen when the money goes out of the when you can't spend your money. The stores are ransacked. All right? People are going to start invading one another. Okay? It says, everyone against his brother and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to the idols, and to the charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to the wizards. And the Egyptians, right? And the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord, which he's in there right now, right? Nero 47. And a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord of hosts. Okay? Let me find that. We'll go down real quick. Just bear with me. There it is. 14th verse. Right? Jumping down to 14, it says, the Lord hath mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof. All right? See, it's the Lord that's doing it. See, these devils have had so much control since they've been in the power seat, they figured they can engineer it right up under the people's nose and just flip the system to the RFID system. Right? But they know that it's inevitable social unrest that's coming. Right? And they won't have no control over that. All right? That's going to be straight up, no holds bar, lawlessness, anarchy, and chaos. And they won't be exempt. This is why they've been building their little underground bunkers, getting underground, because they know, people know where these politicians live, man. People know where they live at. You had people recording Gavin Newsom during the pandemic shit going back 2020, where they were making people wear masks and couldn't gather at home, but they were recording him in his home having dinner with his whole family. Nobody had masks on. They was in there drinking champagne, wine, laughing. So the people out there know where you politicians live, all right? And this is where 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter, is going to come in. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, all right? And the course of their actions shall stand in their power. All right, people are getting fed up, especially these Edomites, man. These everyday 9-to-5 working, business owning, middle class Edomites. All right, gun owning Edomites. They are seeing the bullshit. Okay. So again, the Lord hath mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof. And all it takes is for that money to go. And this place is going to err in every aspect, because this place is afloat by the flow of the U.S. Federal Reserve note, currency. This is how everything continues to run. Currency. Hey, when the government was shut down, and those TSA workers, after a little bit, a week or two, after them not getting paid, they stopped showing up to work. Because what's the point of working when you ain't getting paid and you got bills to pay, you got rent to get, and you ain't getting money? They started not showing up at work to the point to where they had to shut down multiple flights. Only a few flights were leaving out of major airports. So how much more when the Federal Reserve system is totally done? Ain't nobody going to be going to work. People are going to be out there getting it how they live. All right? They're going to be out there getting it by any means necessary. All right? So again, it says, they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof, as a drunken man staggereth in his own vomit. And this is the type of confusion that's getting ready to happen in Babylon the Great. Okay? So let me give one more and then we'll finish this video out. And then I got one more after that I want to close it with. All right? We're going to go to 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter. I just quoted it, but we're going to read it. Okay? Exciting times we living in, man. Okay? Very exciting times. Second Ezra chapter 15, verse 10. It says, behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. Right? Trusting in this American money for the love of money. Right? I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt. Talking about the elect. But I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm and smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof. Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment. What's the foundation of Babylon? This money system. Right? Money. This is a capitalist society. It's all about money, baby. But the money's getting ready to be worthless. The dollar system is about to go bye-bye. All right? It says, Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that the Most High shall bring upon it. They that till the ground shall mourn, for their seeds shall fail through the blasting and hail, and with fearful consolation of famine. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. All right? And you can bet these Edomites are going to be the ones to get it popping that way. All right? They the ones going to get it cracking. These middle class, lower level Edomite privilege, once getting devils, they the ones going to get cracking with their own government. All right? It says, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. And that's your local governors, mayors, right? Politicians, the people that put the laws on the books, all right, that's supposed to be working for the citizens. They're not going to give a damn about them people, because they've been going to the city council meetings. They've been going. They've been pleading. And then their money's going to be straight up taken. And the only way they're going to be able to get it back is by getting the RFID, micro C-HIP, or beginning with a UBI, digital identification. You think these Edomites is going to roll over and say, okay, let's do it? Man, these Edomites going to lose their shit. Because they ain't finna go into slavery. They not going for it. Call halal Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai for the times that we in, baby. All right? So it says again, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. All right? And that's what's getting ready to take place when this money collapses. All right? It's going to be a domino effect and a series of very unfortunate events for you people out there, but fortunate events for the elect. Now let's finish this video out.
Telling you because they think revealing the truth would accelerate the collapse they're trying to prevent. Maybe they're right. Maybe public awareness would trigger panic. But I think people deserve to know what's coming so they can prepare as best they can. The central banks are panicking. The emergency measures are being prepared. The timeline is compressing. And the officials responsible for preventing financial collapse are hoping nothing goes wrong because they know their tools are inadequate. We are not heading toward a crisis. We are in one. It's just not acknowledged publicly yet. That Basel meeting wasn't about managing normal policy challenges. It was about preparing for system failure while desperately trying to delay it. The dollar's dominance is ending. The central banks know it. They are panicking behind closed doors, and they have no solution. When the crisis becomes public, when markets freeze, when capital controls activate, when pension funds crater, remember that it wasn't sudden. The authorities saw it coming. They just chose not to warn you. I'm warning you now. The people who are supposed to protect the system are terrified it's about to break. And if they are scared, you should be too. This is happening. The emergency meetings are real. The panic is real. The timeline is real. Don't say nobody told you. The central banks are panicking, and that should terrify you more than anything else I've shown you. I wasn't supposed to.
So there you have it. There's an actual economist that has been tracking and documenting the downfall of the dollar, right? Now let me get a couple more scriptures. We're gonna go to
Bluetooth disconnected. Bluetooth connected.
Salakia. We're gonna go to back in the book of Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter, because he was saying they're panicking and they're afraid, right? And the scriptures speak about that. Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 1. Remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. While the sun or the light, Salakia. It says, while the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, right? That's your central bankers. They trembling right now because they know it's inevitable. Okay? Your economists, your local economists, they're trembling. They know it's inevitable. Okay? It says, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few. Work is going to be of none effect because ain't nobody going to be getting paid. Who going to work without getting paid? Businesses are not going to run if money is not flowing. They may run for a little bit because you're going to have, people still having cash on hand. Your little local smaller stores will be open, cash only, this, that, and the third, but that won't last long. Okay? It says, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened, meaning the future. They don't see no future for this world reserve currency. All right? Which is no future for America. It's going to get real bad. Okay? And the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low. And he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. And that's where we are. All right? We are right here. Okay? One more verse right here. It says, also, when they shall be afraid of that which is high, and fear shall be in the way, and the almond tree shall flourish, and the grasshopper shall be a burden, and desire shall fail, because man goeth to his long home, and the mourners go about the streets. And the mourners are those that won't have the money. They're going to be out there doing what they got to do to feed their family back home. All right? So it's getting ready to get real bad out here, man. One last scripture in the book of Zephaniah, All right, the first chapter and the 11th verse. It says, "Howl, ye inhabitants of Maktesh." Right, and when you do the research on Maktesh was like your Wall Street of the ancient world. Okay, a money exchange. For all the merchant people are cut down, all they that bear silver are cut off. And it shall come to pass at that time that I will search Jerusalem with candles and punish them and punish the men that are settled on their lees, that say in their heart, the Lord will not do good, neither will he do evil. And it's no coincidence that all this is happening right now. All this is happening right now, man. Okay? Therefore their goods shall become a booty. All right? A spoil. Again, because the money's going to be cut off. You got goods and people out there that know about it, and they ain't got goods. What you think they're going to do? They're going to be invading one another. Your goods are going to become booty, spoil. And their houses a desolation. They shall also build houses, but not inhabit them. And they shall plant vineyards, but not drink the wine thereof. Right? And that's what's getting ready to happen in Babylon right now. You got people buying homes, you know, opening up businesses, not knowing that this society is getting ready to go belly up, man. It says, the great day of the Lord is near, it is near, and hasteth greatly. Even the voice of the day of the Lord, the mighty man shall cry there bitterly. That day is a day of wrath, a day of trouble and distress, a day of wasteness and desolation, a day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness, a day of the trumpet and alarm against the fenced cities and against the high towers. And I will bring distress upon men, that they shall walk like blind men, because they have sinned against the Lord, and their blood shall be poured out as dust, and their flesh as the dung. Neither their silver nor their gold, your money ain't gonna save you, right? Neither their silver nor their gold shall be able to deliver them in the day of the Lord's wrath, but the whole land shall be devoured by the fire of his jealousy. For he shall make even a speedy riddance of all them that dwell in the land. And that's going to come by way of nuclear destruction. And that's going to be the final cherry on top. But leading up to them nuclear missiles being dropped, you're going to have all hell breaking loose everywhere you turn. So call Lord Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai. Lord will is edifying and exhorting to the hopeful elect, giving all praise once again to Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai. And we on to the next. Shalom.